Welcome to Global Feed. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In 2025, tensions flared dramatically between the US and Canada, two nations with a long history of close economic ties and friendly rivalry. What began as a policy dispute quickly escalated into a full-blown trade conflict, sending shockwaves through both countries. The Trump administration, citing concerns over trade imbalances and the need to protect American industries, imposed a sweeping 25% tariff on a wide range of Canadian goods. The move was announced with much fanfare, signaling a new era of economic nationalism. In response, Canada acted swiftly and decisively. The government announced an immediate ban on American alcohol imports, targeting iconic exports like Kentucky bourbon and Californian wines, products that held both economic and cultural significance. By focusing on these high-profile goods, Canada aimed to put direct pressure on key American states, hoping to rally local leaders and businesses against the tariffs. The strategy was clear: hit where it would hurt politically and economically. The international community watched in disbelief as the usually peaceful US-Canada border transformed into a tense front line in a rapidly escalating trade war. News outlets around the world reported on the growing standoff. Across Canada, liquor store employees began removing American products from shelves almost overnight. Customers were met with empty spaces where their favorite American spirits once stood, a stark reminder of the new reality. The visual impact was striking. Empty shelves in liquor stores became a powerful symbol of the deepening fracture in US-Canada relations, sparking conversations and concern among ordinary citizens. The economic partnership, once defined by cooperation and mutual benefit, was now overshadowed by open conflict and uncertainty. Diplomatic meetings grew tense, and both sides braced for further escalation. The Canadian government's response was not just about economics, it was a symbolic counterpunch, meant to show resolve and unity in the face of American pressure. The ban on American alcohol became a rallying point for national pride. Meanwhile, the effects rippled south of the border. American distilleries and vineyards, especially in Kentucky and California, began to feel the sting of lost business. Workers worried about their jobs and industry leaders called for a resolution. Through it all, Canada sent a clear message to the world. It would not back down in the face of economic threats, standing firm to defend its interests and sovereignty. In a rare show of unity, nearly every Canadian province, except for Alberta, banded together to launch a sweeping boycott of American alcohol. This was not just a symbolic gesture, it was a bold, coordinated response to escalating trade tensions with the United States, and it sent shockwaves through both countries' economies. Ontario, home to the influential LCBO, took the lead. Overnight, staff began pulling American-made spirits and wines from shelves, leaving behind empty spaces where popular brands once stood. The absence was impossible to ignore, and customers were left searching for alternatives. The ban was comprehensive, targeting everything from the iconic Kentucky bourbons and Tennessee whiskeys to the celebrated wines of California and Oregon. No American alcohol was spared, and the message was clear: Canada was willing to make sacrifices to stand its ground. Liquor store aisles, once bustling with shoppers and lined with familiar bottles, were suddenly transformed into barren landscapes. The empty shelves became a powerful visual symbol of the deepening trade dispute and a daily reminder of the standoff. Yet Alberta, known for its fiercely independent free market approach, refused to join the boycott. Its liquor stores remained fully stocked with American products, making Alberta a unique outlier and the only province where US alcohol was still widely available. For Canadians across the country, the boycott was more than a political maneuver. It was a disruption of daily life. Shoppers expressed frustration and confusion, while some saw it as a necessary stand for Canadian interests. The New York Times captured the mood perfectly with a headline: "Canada's bars left barren of bourbon and Napa wine." Bartenders and bar owners scrambled to adjust, facing shortages and disappointed customers. The impact of the ban rippled across the nation, with Alberta standing alone as the exception. While shelves elsewhere remained empty, Alberta's stores became a destination for those seeking American spirits. The boycott's effects were felt on both sides of the border. American producers saw exports plummet, while Canadian importers scrambled to fill the gaps. Trucks carrying American alcohol were halted at the border and shelves stayed empty. The line had been drawn. The economic blockade was not just formidable, it was a defining moment in the trade dispute, with both nations feeling the consequences and the world watching closely. The ban left Canadian bars scrambling as American whiskey supplies dwindled. Bar owners initially stockpiled, But by August, reserves were low. Johnny Rafferty, a Toronto bar owner, faced telling customers their favorite drinks were unavailable. American whiskey became a rare commodity, driving up prices. Menus changed, with classic cocktails either removed or altered. Patrons faced higher prices and limited choices, feeling the trade dispute's impact. The ban was no longer abstract. It affected social outings and drink options. The scarcity turned a simple night out into a reminder of the trade conflict. The hospitality industry adapted, but the longing for resolution grew. The Canadian boycott hit the U.S. beverage industry hard, with $500 million in exports affected. Kentucky bourbon makers felt the loss acutely, as Canada was a key market. The ban left warehouses full of unsellable products, threatening livelihoods. Industry groups criticized the ban as unfair, caught in a political crossfire. The economic pain spread to California wineries and Tennessee distillers. The $500 million loss represented a widespread crisis for American producers. The hangover from the trade dispute was long and painful, with no immediate cure. The industry's frustration grew as the boycott continued. Calls for resolution intensified, but the stalemate persisted. The trade war's impact was severe, with hopes for a diplomatic solution. Canadian bar owners faced frustration as American whiskey supplies dwindled. Johnny Rafferty lamented the loss of his curated selection, impacting business and relationships. Giovanni Cassano spoke of the challenges in adapting menus and explaining price changes. Customers missed their favorite drinks, feeling the trade dispute's impact. The ban turned bartenders into reluctant diplomats, explaining complex issues to patrons. Despite frustrations, there was hope for a swift resolution. Business owners anticipated a rush to restock once the ban lifted. The financial strain was significant, but the desire for normalcy remained strong. The ban was a daily reminder of the fractured U.S.-Canada relationship. The longing for resolution was shared by both bar owners and patrons. Alberta surprised many by lifting its ban on American alcohol in June 2025. This break from the unified front aimed to de-escalate trade tensions. Alberta's decision created a unique market dynamic within Canada. While other provinces remained firm, Alberta offered a small revenue stream for U.S. distillers. The move sparked controversy, with concerns about weakening Canada's negotiating position. Alberta defended its decision as pragmatic, supporting local businesses. The debate highlighted the complex interplay of provincial and federal powers. Alberta's actions were a test case for de-escalation's impact. The rest of Canada held firm, maintaining economic pressure. Alberta stood alone, representing a different approach to resolving the dispute. President Trump was visibly furious over Canada's targeted boycott, interpreting it as a direct affront to his administration's trade policies and personal leadership. The move was seen not just as an economic maneuver, but as a challenge to his authority on the world stage, fueling his determination to stand firm. The Canadian boycott quickly exerted pressure on key U.S. political constituencies, especially in states where whiskey production and export are vital to local economies. Lawmakers began to feel the heat from their constituents who worried about lost jobs and shrinking markets. Despite mounting pleas from industry leaders and affected workers, the Trump administration publicly downplayed the boycott's impact, insisting that the U.S. economy remained strong and resilient. Behind closed doors, however, officials debated possible responses and weighed the risks of escalation. The Distilled Spirits Council, representing both large and small distillers, urgently lobbied for a diplomatic solution as financial losses mounted. They warned that prolonged tariffs could permanently damage relationships and market share, making recovery difficult even after a resolution. On the Canadian side, resolve remained strong. Citizens and politicians alike stood united in their stance. But as the weeks dragged on, the desire for normalcy and the return of familiar products to store shelves grew more intense. Bar owners and restaurateurs who had been forced to adapt to dwindling supplies looked forward to the day they could restock their shelves and once again offer customers the full range of beloved American whiskeys. Across both countries, there was hope that mounting economic and political pressure would eventually lead to the lifting of tariffs and an end to the ban. Many believed that dialogue and compromise could restore the flow of goods and goodwill. Yet, the stalemate continued. Empty shelves in Canadian stores became a stark symbol of the trade war's real cost, affecting not just businesses, but everyday people who missed their favorite spirits. The ongoing dispute served as a cautionary tale about the fragility of international trade relationships. It highlighted how quickly political disagreements can disrupt commerce and impact lives on both sides of the border. Both nations, bound by history and shared tastes, hoped for a resolution. There was a longing for the day when commerce and camaraderie would once again flow freely, and the shelves would be full, signaling a return to normalcy and renewed friendship.